Hello and welcome back to the Nationals March to October. In just last episode, we wrapped up the World Series, and not just another World Series win, not just our second in a row, but it was the greatest postseason performance of all time. We ran the table, we went 13-0, and now we're sitting here after two straight World Series wins, ready to go into the offseason and get this team ready for a third. And when I finished last episode, I wasn't sure if I was going to take a little bit of a break. I kind of do like to take a break before I go into the offseason because I like to really look at the roster, formulate some sort of plan. But as I was looking at things, the way that our team is shaping up going into next year, there's not a whole lot I can plan for. Here, let me show you. We'll go to the franchise first. So this is just when we hit continue in franchise at the end of last episode to look at the awards. This is just that franchise that was created. We're going to go back to the March to October, obviously, but this is just an easier way to see the rosters. Here, let me sim to the offseason so we can see what we've got going on. None of those retirements or any of this matters because that's all going to change. Or it could be different, I should say. But these are our free agents. These are the only people who we're going to be losing to free agency. The only one that's on our big league squad is Trevor Williams. I mean, we have a lot of contract renewals, a lot of arbitrations, but in March to October, the CPU handles that all. And all those players will be brought back, at least in my experience, automatically. So the only player that was on our big league roster was Trevor Williams, and I don't really see a need to bring him back. But that means that our perfect World Series winning roster is basically intact going into next season. So I don't even know, man. Normally, I do two parts to the offseason because the first part is just me talking about the plan, but I don't even have a plan written down this time. We'll go over the roster and what I'm thinking real quick before we actually go into the offseason, but there's not a whole lot to account for. Our starting rotation is set going into next year. It's just these top five guys. I'm sure Strasburg will stay on the big league team. When it comes to the bullpen, that is where we'll be losing Trevor Williams, but that's our only loss, and we got to remember who we drafted here, this Leo Blanco. I doubt the game is going to automatically have him in the bigs, but even at just 18 years old, with this pitch mix and these ratings at a 70 overall as a lefty, this could be usable right away. Catchers set, we got our starter and our backup. Chavis is somebody who I really hope the game doesn't screw up for me because, I mean, look at what he is. I mean, we haven't gotten able to use him, and he's still progressing in the minors as he's stuck there, up to a 91 power against lefties. The problem is he's not on the 40-man roster, and unless the game automatically adds him, he'll be eligible in the Rule 5 draft, and he's definitely going to get taken. I already did sim through a little portion of the offseason just to see some things. We had like 5 or 6 spots on the 40-man that are going to be vacant, so hopefully the game recognizes what it should do and adds Chavis to the 40-man, and then eventually we could hopefully call him up. But our entire position player roster is, I mean, it's set. There's nobody leaving. It's all going to be the exact same. The only thing is I wouldn't mind if Alex Call doesn't make the big league team and somebody gets called up, whether it be one of these 3 prospects. All of them need to get added to the 40-man also. Another draft pick, Alonso Acevedo, that at 18, I doubt they're going to let me use, but he's very usable as a lefty. This would actually be really good because he can play first also. I didn't realize that. So yeah, I mean, a lot of this depends on what the CPU is going to do. If it's going to call up James Wood, Acevedo, back to the pitching, if it's going to call up Leo Blanco. I doubt it would call up those really young guys, but we'll see. So as far as the offseason and free agency goes, really the only thing I can see doing is seeing if there's an actual like solidified closing pitcher that we could go after. Because don't get me wrong, Scott Effross was good, but it seemed like he was only really good when I used him, and when the CPU used him, he kind of struggled a bit. I mean, you don't really want your closer to be blowing 10 saves. I did already sim past once to free agency just to see who the free agents were. Again, that could all be different, like in this exclusive thing that we don't get to participate in March to October's, but other teams seem to be able to. Some players that could be free agents would get signed back, so it's not all going to be the same, but there were a couple decent closing pitcher options we could go after. But the one really interesting one that would really really be an exciting move if we pull it off, and then we'd have to figure it out later, is Juan Soto could be a free agent. He was a free agent when I simmed to free agency in this. It'd be really cool to bring him back. I mean, we don't have a clear spot for him, but it's Juan Soto. You make a spot for him if you could get him. As far as our budget situation goes, again, this could change within the March to October, but our payroll going into 2025 with pretty much the entire MLB roster set is under 100 mil, and over a third of that's being taken up by Steven Strasburg himself. So we are in a spot right now where we have one of the best teams in the league, but it's also really cheap. Like, we've set ourselves up in a really good spot right here. So we have more than enough money to do whatever moves we want to do, but really the closing pitcher and the potential of Juan Soto are the only things I can really think of to actually move on in this offseason. So we're going to go ahead and continue to the offseason here within the March to October. So let's see who we have here. Who's going to show up? Juan Soto is there as a free agent. We have to throw him in right away. Only 26 years old at a 92. I'm sure his true potential rating on the back end's gotta be a 99 or very close to a 99. I mean, he won a World Series with the Nationals, and he could have a chance now to come back into an already established dynasty. Seems like a no-brainer, and we have the money to offer him whatever he wants. So I'm pretty much set on really going after Soto. I wouldn't be surprised, because usually I feel like the biggest free agents in March to October, that last chance thing pops up like right away. So it's all like a roll of the dice to see if you actually get the guy. But now let's see about the closing pitcher situation. And these are pretty much the same names I was seeing. The three that are over an 80 overall, we got Ryan Presley, Seranthony Dominguez, Clay Holmes. I'm pretty much throwing out Presley just because of his age. He could regress instantly down to a 70 something. But Dominguez is 30. Clay Holmes is 32. So they should hold firm for at least a couple more years. And between the two, I think Seranthony Dominguez is who I'm leaning towards. He's got a little bit less control. They both have an outlier sinker, and then Holmes has slider, four-seam, two-seam. Dominguez has slider, four-seam, circle change, which is actually a little bit better of a pitch mix there. Dominguez also has a much better hits per nine. He has a better clutch rating. I guess I shouldn't say Dominguez has a much better hits per nine. It's 92 versus 88, and it also regressed -3 last year. So if we get him back on track, maybe that gets back up to where it was. But then yeah, he's asking for more, but he's a couple of years younger. I think Seranthony Dominguez is the closing pitcher we make a move for. There is also AJ Minter, who could be an interesting lefty to add, because our current lefty bullpen situation, we only have the two, and it's Joe Mantiply and Matt Moore. Moore's 35, Mantiply is 34, so you never know. They're also both only mid to high 70s. If we knew that Leo Blanco could get called up, that'd be another lefty to add to the mix, but I doubt he's going to show up for us next season at all. So, I mean, if we can add AJ Minter, like if you think Dominguez could replace Trevor Williams, and then if Minter could bump Hunter Harvey out of the bullpen, then we'd no longer have anybody in the 60s, that would work out pretty well. And then we'd have our three lefties, so we'd have one more lefty, which could never hurt. We'd have our established closer, and then we'd have Sandlin and Efros and Hicks, because for now Strasburg would probably have to be our long reliever. Maybe we do go after one more bullpen arm in Minter. Glaber is another interesting one. He's not quite on the Juan Soto level, though, of you get him and then figure it out later. I don't think there's really much of a reason to continue to look at any position player free agents. I'll just go ahead, throw Minter on the list here, and then we have our team and positional needs set up for these to be as good as possible, and I think we're ready to go. I mean, honestly, if we don't get them, we don't get them, and I might not even really try and make any other moves. Ooh, actually, I don't know. I shouldn't say that, because right after I said that, I thought, maybe, I wonder if there's any other left-handed relievers besides just AJ Minter, and the first guy I come across is Caleb Ferguson. He just went up to a B potential last year, so I guess who knows how high that potential is. It could top out at like 80, 81. But even if it does, a 95 hits per nine, 80 clutch, good Ks per 9 and a huge improvement to his walks and homers per 9. And he's a few years younger than Minter was. I don't know if I like his pitch mix a ton, 4-seam sweeping curve cutter, but I'm not the biggest fan of Minter's either. The only difference is a circle change for Minter versus a sweeping curve. I guess looking through here, there are a couple other lefties that the more I think of it, if we're trying to replace Hunter Harvey, if we're trying to bump out a 68 overall, we could go Minter, Ferguson, Chafin, even Tanner Scott at a 73. Might be fine. Honestly, though, I think I'm more interested in Ferguson than I am with Minter. I want to go ahead and add Ferguson instead. All right, so now we're ready to advance past this first week. I wouldn't be shocked if the fate of Juan Soto is decided right here. So let's see. Let's see what we're looking like. I'm going to do whatever I can. If Soto pops up as a last chance here, I'm offering him the biggest contract that I can. So Bieber is going to Texas, to the Rangers, and then Bregman also signed away from the Astros to the Cardinals. Corbin Burns to the Cubs. Man, that stings as a Brewers fan going in the division like that. And then Altuve to the Yankees. Would that happen? That would never happen, right? He's hurt the Yankees too much for them to accept him in. And it looks like we made it all the way past that first week, so we can see Juan Soto's interest. He's only 43%. I was honestly kind of expecting more. So we can't even offer him a deal until we get to 50. And if we don't change anything here, we won't get to 50 next time. So actually, I think I could probably take this off and then have another one of these that, yeah, it goes for Soto. Oh, there were some signings that we missed that didn't pop up. It was just a bunch of relief pitchers and then Victor Caratini. And the only one we have to concern ourselves with is a division rival signing, but what's he gonna do? So I don't know. Let's go ahead. Let's advance to the next week now and see what goes down with Juan Soto. I really want to bring him in. I think it would work too, because all the game would have to do is send Alex Call down and then leave the rest of the outfield situation the same way. We don't have to bring up James Wood yet, Elijah Green, Hassel, all of them can stay down in the minors. And then to start, we could either rock with Kiermaier out in center or Rosario, and then hopefully one of those center fielders would get a fast track at some point in the season, which would turn them into an even better call-up. So that's my plan, and nothing's happening. There's one, Pete Alonso to the Twins, and it looks like we've made it all the way to week 3 without a Juan Soto situation. What's this? Rowdy Tellez, he wants to sign with us. The potential dropped last year, but he's still an 81. Lot of home runs the last 2 seasons in the March to October, but I don't know. I mean, he might be a better lefty bat than Sheets is, but Sheets is also cheaper and still developing and has a little bit more flexibility with the ability to play right. So I don't see a need to do that. We can move on. We've unlocked the ability to offer a contract to Soto, and we could, if we did, I mean, 7 years for him, I'm completely fine with it, only 26 years old. So the max we could do right now is 65 interest, but I'm pretty sure if we can make it another week without the last chance thing popping up, then we would unlock the guaranteed accept of an offer. And at that point, I might not waste any time. I might just pull the trigger on it, because I don't think within the parameters of this game, if there is an overpay for Juan Soto. See if there's any, there was other signings we missed. I guess they're just not big enough to pop up on that screen. All right, well then once again, I don't think we have anything to do here in between advancing weeks, so we can go ahead and advance another week. We might get the whole offseason in one episode. That'd be something new. And oh, it's a last chance with Sir Anthony. Okay, so he Could we guarantee? We could guarantee him, but that's 7 years, 9.3 mil, and then we also would use it up, and then we wouldn't have it available for Soto if we need it. So a 5-year deal would go through his age 34 season, and he still should be pretty good with the B potential where he's at. 34 isn't really that old to regress too hard. I don't know if I want to go past that. We could get him up to 70% interested by throwing all the money at him them that we can, and it would only be another 4% for the 2 years. So if I'm not really feeling the 7 years, I could just leave it at 5. So yeah, let's do this. Let's do a 5-year offer for the max amount we can, 8.25 mil. 70% interested, 7 out of 10 chance to get them. That's pretty likely, but you never know. So let's go for it and see what happens here. Oh, we get one of these for this one, making it all exciting. Who is it? Who do we got? We did get him. I started going into my opening a diamond commentary saying, who is it? I know who it is. It was a matter of what jersey he's wearing, and he's wearing our jersey. So we got him. We locked him up. We didn't have to use our guaranteed thing. So there we go. He is our closer for ideally the rest of this March to October at an 83 overall. And now we continue on, and it looks like we made it an entire other week without having to do anything about Juan Soto. And actually, it looks like since we had to sign Dominguez in the middle of the week, we got a little bit extra interest for both of these guys. So somehow making that move knocked us down from 8th to 9th overall. I guess that just must factor in other teams' moves. That would make sense. I don't know why these moves aren't popping up. This was a big one. Walker Buehler to the Cardinals. Man, we're seeing a couple of the Astros moving. Now we're seeing a big Dodgers piece moving. I'm liking this. We might see some more variety going into next season. Actually, I guess the Cardinals are kind of loading up because they signed Bregman. They've also signed a couple relievers, and then now they went and signed Walker Buehler. I might just go ahead and do this. Well, that is 39 mil a year. That's a little bit more than I thought the game would even let you offer. This would be a little bit more, and I guess now we know after going through the Sir Anthony Dominguez one that even in a last chance opportunity, you still get the chance to use this. So honestly, that kind of means we just locked up Juan Soto, because I might just leave it go and build up interest so we could get him for a little bit cheaper. But if it comes down to it and we have the last chance thing, I'm using the guaranteed. We got Juan Soto, guys. He's coming back. Okay, see, I was wondering if this would happen, because remember back when I was looking at our roster in the franchise screen, I said Alonso Acevedo had a secondary position of first, and I didn't realize that. The reason I didn't realize that is because before, when I was looking on the franchise and I glanced at Alonso Acevedo, he didn't have first as a secondary. He only had the rest of the outfield as a secondary. So it just crossed my mind. I wonder if it changed again. It did. He has a catcher as a secondary position, but he throws lefty. How does that happen? I want him in the bigs right now just for the novelty of having a lefty catcher. Also, that does, I guess, give him even more value because now he can be our backup catcher. Again, I don't think the game will let me have him in the bigs, especially this season at 18, but who knows how long it would take. Oh, and man, that was another thing I thought to check on now. They still don't have James Wood on the 40-man, so that means there is no chance of him getting called up. I don't think I've ever seen in a March to October a call-up happen with somebody not on the 40-man. I think they have to be on the 40-man in order for you to get even a fast track. I could be wrong, but I think that's how it goes. Same with Elijah Green. He didn't get added. Hassel, though, did, because he would have been Rule 5 eligible. So that is an opportunity for one of our bigger prospects to get a fast track, which would be nice because he does have that first base secondary. So wow, I mean, all we have left is Caleb Ferguson. I guess, no, I'll leave it. I was going to say, I guess I could focus the team needs on Ferguson, but I guess it's still probably better to have Soto getting a lot of interest so that we could get him for cheaper. I'm just going to go ahead and advance then with only these two and get him a little bit further along the interest. So let's, there's Max Fried. Okay, so the Dodgers, they lose Buehler, but then they add Max Fried. So they're not really getting any weaker. That's relatively cheap that they signed him for also. Cubs get a new catcher, Danny Jansen. Glaber went to Kansas City. That's a big one. Wait, on only 3 years, 39 mil also. And then Clay Holmes to Seattle. So that was the other one we were thinking of. He signed for way cheaper than Dominguez did, though. Anthony Santander to the White Sox on also a really cheap deal. Really? Basically 6-ish mil a season for 37 homers, a 338 on base, switch hitting. That's insane value. And then Brandon Drury to the Brewers. So nothing really in our division has gone on. big time. Actually, I guess the biggest thing is the Braves losing Max Fried. And no other big signings popped up. We're up to 68% on Soto, 66% on Ferguson. A couple of the other lower signings took place too. There's our guy, Erasmo Ramirez from back in the first season. It's good to see him landing somewhere. I really hope the CPU doesn't step in and make some kind of dumb signing at the end like it always does, because I don't need the CPU messing up what we've got going here. I can't wait to see what our overall shoots up to when we lock down the Soto signing. There's really not a whole lot left to do in terms of figuring things out. It's just a matter of waiting until the point where we could get these two guys as cheap as possible. There goes two more pretty big starting pitchers. Now we're up to 77 now with Soto. All right, we couldn't quite lock him up without the guarantee, but the guarantee is now down to 36. We could get Ferguson all the way up to 86. 83 with the years staying at 5. Yeah, man, look at the Cardinals. Woodruff and Buehler, and then Bregman offensively. I don't think you can look at, you can't look at other teams' rosters in the offseason on this screen. I'd like to see what they're working with overall. But we move on. No reason to stop now. Keep building up that interest. See how cheap we can get these guys. Rowdy goes to the Angels. That seems like a very Angels signing, doesn't it? Spencer Turnbull. I didn't know he was even still around. Johnny Lasagna to the Reds. Or Red Sox. Close. I was close to saying the right name. And we are through yet another week. Soto's up to 86%. Could we lock him up right now? We could, without the guarantee. But I see no reason to stop now. One more week, he'll be up to 95%. And then I might be able to go 7 years and keep the money in the middle. So let's go one more week. See what we've got here as we keep moving. Willie Adames to the Marlins. That also seems like a very Marlins signing, doesn't it? Paul Sewald to the Rockies? Are the Rockies going to do anything? That seems like a pretty good arm to secure without a need for it. Frankie Montas. I didn't know he was still around too. Goes to Cleveland. There's a Reds signing. And we're almost to Christmas. Should our Christmas gift just be to sign Juan Soto now? 95% gets up to 98 with the 7 years. Bump it up a couple though, and we get him for 32.33 mil. I might just go for this now. I don't really see a reason to wait because he can only get up to 100%. I want him for the whole 7 years anyway. So I'm fine eating a couple hundred extra $1,000 to just go ahead and lock it up right now. I'm going to do it. We're going to do it. We're going to offer this to Soto. And here he comes, coming back home to Washington, D.C. Juan Soto is once again a member of the Nationals. It just feels right. Let's go and get Harper next. Now I want to see what it shows us rated as overall. I mean, look at this. This has to be the biggest signing outside of Shohei Ohtani that we could have gotten in this entire March to October. I mean, 26 years old, a 7-year contract only takes him up until he's 32. He's already as good as he is with plenty of years left to get better. And I'm assuming he's still got some more potential to fill out. Just such an exciting signing, especially with the fact that we're using the Nationals to bring him back. It's just awesome. I'm not even like a Nationals fan in real life, but I'm hoping some of you that are watching this that are really getting that warm, fuzzy feeling now bringing him back here. So now it's just down to Caleb Ferguson. I don't want to get another lefty. I don't want to get Minter also because there's really no reason to. Plus we have Leo Blanco coming up through the system who I'm excited about as a lefty. Yeah, I think we can just be content with Caleb Ferguson. So I may as well continue simming to get him just a little bit more interested. But we are winding to a close. I forgot to see what they rank us now after that signing. Jimmy Nelson, no thanks. What do they rank us here? 5th overall. I guess I did come to this screen. I just forgot to look. Up to 3rd in contact, still only 14th in power. Oh, there he is. I was like, where even is he? But he's at DH now. So yeah, we'll figure it out. He could be solid in left. Not going to be great, but at least a bronze defender in left. I mean, the only hesitation I have with having Soto DH is then Meneses will be out in the field. Probably at first. I wouldn't have him play right. But if Meneses is in the field and we have a backup first baseman, that leaves the door open for him to sit. And as the back-to-back MVP with only one game missed over 2 seasons, I kind of don't want to mess with a good thing. But then again, having Soto DH and then having his bat in the lineup for a full 162, is that just as good, if not better, than Meneses? Actually, I don't know. Meneses as a hitter might be a little better overall. Probably worse discipline and vision, but better in the 4 main hitting. I don't know. It's close. I mean, at this point, everything's out of my hands. It's all what the CPU decides to do in terms of who stays in the bigs and who doesn't. And then it's up to me to position them once we get that info. I don't think this popped up, but Tyler O'Neill to the Yankees, that also kind of feels like a very Yankees signing. Like, he just seems like he fits in there. Man, did any of these pop up? I don't think any of these popped up. Pablo Lopez went to the Angels. That's a pretty big signing. Glass now to the Red Sox. So we'll go ahead, sim one more week. Go ahead and get Ferguson up to max interest, and then we can just sign him for this. I mean, the crazy thing is we just signed Soto. We're gonna sign Ferguson, and then we're still gonna have 30 mil left over, and I still hope we can find a way to move that Strasburg contract, and that would free up 35 mil. So we could go into next season with another 60+ million ready to spend. Oh, there's all those signings I said we didn't see. They happened today, and we don't see them until after. So we continue on. One more. Oh, Stroman back to Toronto. That's fun too. Only on a 1-year deal. Verdugo to the Tigers, only on a 2-year, $5 million a year deal for 99 contact against righties. That seems like a pretty team-friendly deal there. Brewers get a pitcher, Rays get a pitcher, Dodgers get a catcher, and now we're back. We don't have to sign you, Tanner Scott, because we are gonna lock up Caleb Ferguson, and I'm just gonna leave it where it's at to make sure it's at 100%. 5 years. That would also take him up until he's age 32, and he should stay good until then. I wouldn't imagine he'd regress by the time he's 32. So I'm fine giving him 5 years. Let's go ahead, submit this offer. And this was, I was going to say a successful offseason. Obviously it was, because there were 3 moves I wanted, and we made all 3 happen. We didn't have much room to improve this team, but we still found a way to improve the team pretty significantly. 95 hits per 9. That's so good. They still have us ranked 5th after that signing, but I imagine after another year of our younger guys progressing, especially the pitchers, potential fast tracks, call-ups with boosts, all of that, we could end up getting to the actual top-ranked team by the end of the 3rd season, starting at the worst rank, 30th overall at the start of season 1. We could move up to 1 before the 3rd season's even over. So yeah, I am pretty much done here in the off season. I don't even see a need to look at anything. We got what we needed. I'm content. Well, I won't skip the rest of the off season just in case anything interesting happens. Like seeing this, another pitcher going to the Cardinals. They really are loading up on pitching. Trevor Rosenthal wants to sign with us. What would you do? What do you offer that we don't already have? Advance another week. We're on to 2025. The Rangers get Ryan Presley. You won't even believe how close I came to saying Elvis Presley. So they got Shane Bieber, and now a closer. Interesting to see what the Rangers are going to do. Chafin goes to Cleveland. The White Sox get Domingo Germán. Interesting. Josh Bell is interested in signing with us. That one's actually a little interesting. He'd be a comeback too. He had that 1.5 seasons on the Nationals, and he was actually pretty good. A switch hitter, improving. Why am I actually tempted by this? Hang on a second. Let's add to the target list just for now so I don't forget about him, but let's see. Yeah, actually, no, I'm not going to do this. I was really thinking about it, but we can't offer him any less than 3 years, and I would honestly only want to offer him a 1-year deal, so for that reason, I'm out. And then we can just go ahead and go to the end of the offseason, I guess. DFS. There's nothing else to do. Minter goes to Texas, so they get another pretty solid arm. Mariners get Tanner Scott, a lefty for them. And then, oh yeah, we do get one more day popping up to sim pass, so let's sim past it. And Liam Hendricks, I didn't realize he was still on the board, but he goes on a 1-year deal to Houston. So Houston lost a couple guys, but they also got a couple back. I mean, Hendricks still an 82, still probably could be fine. And they get Christian Arroyo. That's a pretty decent bat, especially against lefties. Catcher to Seattle, catcher to Philly. We're into February now. A couple more signings going down. Jock Peterson to the Angels. Was he on the Angels? No, because 2021, this tote, that was Cubs and then Braves. Was there a thing that he was like gonna be traded to the Angels and then it didn't happen? That has to be it, because there's some kind of link with Jock Peterson to the Angels before, but now he's actually going there. And then another reliever to the White Sox. Giolito goes to San Francisco this time, so he didn't go back to the Angels. Harrison Bader, another pretty solid signing for the Rangers, really good fielder. Starter to the Orioles, another starter to the Orioles. Scope to the Cubs. Stanek goes to the Braves. Wow. So after he single-handedly blows Game 4 of the World Series, he then wants to sign for a team in our division where we get to face him more often. Another set of signings here. Goldschmidt to the Yankees. He's gonna have to shave. He's still got good ratings. 88 overall at 37 years old. That plays. That is a very solid 1-year signing for the Yankees, especially for under 10 mil. Wow. Christian Walker to the Astros. That seems like another pretty solid signing. I guess he's not quite as good. Michael Lorenzen to the Twins. Bellinger to the Jays. Man, he's bouncing around here on 1-year deals. 1 year with the Cubs, 1 year with the Braves, now 1 year with the Blue Jays. Twins get a catcher. Darno leaves the division. Orioles get a catcher. A's get Brad Keller. Red Sox get a reliever. Robles to the Giants. Only on a 1-year deal, though. Why doesn't he deserve more than 4.4 mil in more than one season? And then a reliever to the Royals. We're getting close to the end now. We're gonna see the famous December 33rd pretty soon here. There it is, December 33rd, 2025 comes after March 1st because that's how it is every year, guys. Don't you pay attention to the calendar? Only a 4-star offseason? What are you doing to me? And why are we signing Michael Fulmer and Adam Simber? We don't need them. I love Adam Simber, but I don't need him. Who are we gonna lose out on? Who's getting sent down because we just had to sign 2 old righties? What else has gone down here right at the end? Nelson Cruz is still bouncing around. Guess he's still a decent bat. Miguel Sano, that's a big power bat to go to Miami. He hasn't played in this. He hasn't played in this whole March to October. There's no value in a 97 power bat. Conforto goes in the division. That's a pretty solid bat, actually. Oh, I guess we also signed Dinelson Lamet because we needed to. And it looks like that's it. Everything else was what we were seeing pop up. Actually not. There's a couple more that didn't pop up. Like our own signing didn't pop up. Trey Mancini, though, going back to the Orioles. That's fun. Corey Dickerson, a former national, a World Series champion. Big part of that championship year. He didn't even play after we got rid of him. Man, see, that's what I don't like about the show sometimes. Because I know he's a low rating with a D potential, but coming off a 14 homer, 305 batting average season, you'd think that would give some value to some team. Carl Edwards Jr. was also part of that team, a big part of that team. And he hardly played last year also. What's going on with these guys? Huge integral pieces to our championship run just being discarded by the teams they signed for. Apparently, we also signed Reynaldo Lopez. So that's a return to the Nationals. I mean, if you could have a call-up boost player lock with a relief pitcher, then honestly, Dinelson Lamet and Lopez would be solid signings, but they're not really going to get any better than they are. Adam Simber at a 76, you just know he's going to be bumping somebody out of our bullpen that we'd want there. Chris Sale went to the Padres and it didn't show us. That seems like a pretty big signing to not show. JD Martinez also, he didn't play last year. What is with all these solid bats not playing? Same with Blackman. 91 contact isn't good enough. Looks like we also signed another catcher. That doesn't really matter. Man, I don't think I've ever gone through this screen this thoroughly. I always wait until we can get back to our normal roster screens to see who our signings were, but now I can see him a little sooner. We also got Jacob Stallings. Oh, and we also got, okay. we still ended up with Josh Bell anyway. So they're auto signing 80 overalls now. I mean, I did, when I was looking at how he would fit in, I did figure out a way that he probably could provide some value to us, but that would involve Soto then playing the outfield. Honestly, this isn't bad then, because the reason that I decided not to do it is we couldn't sign him for only a year, but here we are ending up signing him for only a year. And it looks like those are the only moves that didn't pop up for us. So let's go back to our division here and see what all the signings were in division. Braves didn't do a ton. They got Conforto, who's a nice bat. Frazier could be solid. Stanek, solid reliever, but after that, there's not much. The Marlins getting Sano, Candelario, Dickerson. Adames is really the only big one. I didn't even realize Candelario too. The Marlins are just trying to... Wait, he didn't play either? What? Neither of them played in 2024. I feel so bad. Candelario was the postseason MVP, wasn't he? The Mets, wow, the Mets did nothing. Just a couple cheap old relievers that are all in the 60s. Phillies didn't really do anything either. A couple, I'm assuming, backup catchers. I guess I don't know if JT's still there, but I would assume. And then there's us. The 3 signings I made that were really good, and then all of these CPU signings that we'll see about, but I don't know, the Bell one could end up being okay. I don't know, man. The more I think of it, I kind of wish there was a mode that was a little bit more franchise based in terms of what you can control, but is still March to October in essence. Like, I really do enjoy the way that March to October is set up with the whole momentum thing and the fast tracks, the call-ups with the boost, the player locks. That's all fun. But some of these roster control things and not getting to control how the team is shaping up, and maybe not getting to control adding people to the 40-man when you want to, or adding people to your major league roster. That's all stuff that's frustrating with the mode. But I guess we go ahead, advance past this screen. We got the Braves to take on first, and we're ready for opening day. I'm assuming that I'm going to have crammed that entire offseason into one episode, because I really don't think there's a reason to stretch it to 2. So if I did, I'm assuming this one is relatively long, so I'll go ahead and end it here, and we'll talk about whatever else we might need to talk about in the next episode. But we're ready to go on season 3 of this March to October, and it's going to be very exciting with some of the additions we made. And we are in the favorites tier now, I just noticed that. So guys, that's going to do it for me in this one. Make sure if you enjoyed, hit that like button. If you're excited for the Juan Soto return to Washington and you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button. But thank you guys all for watching again today, and I will see you next time on opening day.